town of Ravenswood was no stranger to secrets. But when the body of 32-year-old kindergarten teacher Hannah Pearson was found in her apartment, it was a secret too dark to ignore. Hannah's death was a shocking event, one that would ripple through the small town and forever alter the lives of those who had once known her. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next chilling stories. Her murder wasn't just another statistic. It was personal. In fact, it turned out to be far more intimate and twisted than anyone could have imagined. At first, the authorities had no solid leads. Hannah's apartment was neat, unremarkable, the typical scene of someone who had been living a routine, ordinary life. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing had been stolen. For all intents and purposes, it seemed like an isolated incident, a crime of opportunity, perhaps. But as the police began to investigate deeper, something strange started to unfold. This wasn't a random act of violence. Hannah Pearson, it seemed, knew her killer, and they knew her well. The first clue came when the police examined the list of people who had been closest to Hannah. They started with her ex-boyfriend, Jack Turner, with whom she had been in a volatile relationship until a few months prior. But Jack had an airtight alibi. He was at a work conference in a different city. He couldn't have been the one. And yet, there was something unsettling about the way he had spoken about her death when he was first contacted. His words seemed rehearsed, as though he had been expecting this moment for some time. He mourned her death, but there was a distant quality to his grief that made the officers suspicious. As the investigation unfolded, the true web of relationships that Hannah had been entangled in began to surface, and with it, a chilling realization. Hannah's closest friend, Sarah Collins, had been a constant presence in her life since childhood. Sarah, whom everyone believed to be Hannah's most trusted confidant, had always been the perfect friend, always there to listen, always willing to offer a helping hand. But now, as the detectives dug deeper, it became clear that Sarah's connection to Hannah was not as innocent as it seemed. Sarah had been hiding a dark side, a side that Hannah had known about but had never fully understood. There had always been whispers around Sarah, whispers that had been pushed aside, ignored by everyone who knew her, including Hannah. Sarah's life had been messy. After her father left, she had struggled with substance abuse. There had been several brief stints in rehab, and yet no one had ever seen the full extent of her downward spiral. To most, she was the strong, dependable friend, the one who seemed to have her life together. But to those who were closer to her, the cracks were undeniable. The more detectives uncovered about Sarah's past, the more unsettling the picture became. Her jealousy toward Hannah was no secret. Sarah had always envied Hannah's success, her stability, her seemingly perfect life. But when it became known that Sarah had been in Hannah's apartment just a few days before the murder, the pieces started to fall into place. According to Hannah's co-workers, Sarah had visited her on the night before the murder. They were supposed to have a girls' night in, but something had gone wrong. Hannah had mentioned feeling uncomfortable, almost as if she had sensed something was off in Sarah's demeanor. Yet, despite her discomfort, Hannah had never once imagined that Sarah would be capable of violence. The police soon discovered a strange message in Sarah's phone, sent just hours before the murder. "You always thought you could escape me, didn't you? Well, I'll be the one to make sure you never run again." The chilling words sent a shiver down the detectives' spines. This wasn't a simple case of jealousy. It was something far more dangerous. Obsession. Sarah had become fixated on Hannah's life, so much so that she had convinced herself that she was the only one who truly understood Hannah. Her resentment had festered until it grew into something far darker than anyone could have anticipated. And when Hannah had refused to give her the attention Sarah felt she deserved, something inside Sarah snapped. The investigation took a sharp turn when the police uncovered a crucial piece of evidence: a bloody handprint on the inside of Hannah's bedroom door. The blood didn't match Hannah's. It was Sarah's. And when they confronted Sarah with the evidence, she broke. Sarah confessed to everything. She had killed her best friend, the one person who had been there for her, the person who had never truly understood how deep Sarah's feelings of betrayal ran. But as Sarah confessed, she revealed something more sinister. Hannah had known about Sarah's feelings for a long time. In the weeks leading up to her death, Hannah had started to pull away from her friend, sensing the growing tension in their relationship. She had even considered ending their friendship, but the two had never had the chance to talk about it. And so, in a final act of desperation, Sarah decided to take matters into her own hands. She lured Hannah to her apartment, ambushed her, and then, in a fit of rage, she ended her life. The confession sent shockwaves through the town. It wasn't just the brutality of the crime that left people reeling. It was the fact that the killer was someone Hannah had known and trusted. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't someone from outside her world. The killer had been there all along, hidden behind a facade of friendship. As the trial began, it was clear that Sarah was a broken individual. She had been consumed by jealousy and obsession for years, and it had finally led to murder. Yet, the defense tried to argue that Sarah was the victim of her own trauma, that she had been manipulated by her emotions, and that her childhood struggles had led her to make this terrible choice. The courtroom drama was filled with tears, accusations, and a deep sense of unease. The jury deliberated for days, and finally, Sarah was convicted of first-degree murder. But the real tragedy of the case lay in the aftermath. Hannah's family was left to pick up the pieces of a life that had been senselessly taken. Her friends mourned her loss, grappling with the realization that someone they had trusted completely had taken her life. And Sarah, now sitting in a prison cell, could only reflect on the dark path she had walked, a path she could never undo. The town of Ravenswood was forever changed. The tragedy of Hannah's death would linger in the minds of everyone who had known her, a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones closest to us. Trust, once shattered, is hard to rebuild. And the haunting question that remains is this: what happens when the victim knows their killer? The betrayal cuts deeper, leaving a scar that never truly heals. Never forget, sometimes the greatest threats come from those we trust the most, and the betrayal of a close friend can cut deeper than any stranger's attack. And jealousy and obsession, if left unchecked, can spiral into deadly consequences, altering lives in ways no one could have predicted. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next chilling stories.